Hello and welcome. Tonight, Independent National Electoral Commission rejects petition to recall Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, describes exercise as inadequate. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan promises to present evidence to back up her allegations of sexual harassment against President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, at the right time. A day after the tribunal affirmed his election, Edo State Governor Monday Okwewolo returns to a rousing welcome in Benin City, the Edo State capital. And world leaders criticize President Donald Trump's decision to impose new tariffs on all goods entering the U.S.
In our business, economic experts in Nigeria warn U.S. tariffs on imported goods could backfire, harming U.S. economy more as Trump imposes 14% tariff on Nigeria.
On sports, ahead the 22nd National Sports Festival, Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun says the whole state is good to go as he inspects facilities.
And from the nation's capital, suspected terrorists kill at least 10 persons in 5 communities under Bokos local government area of Plateau State, the second of such an attack within a week.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced that the petition for the recall of the senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has not met the requirements of Section 69A of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The nation's electoral umpire made this announcement today via its official X handle in a statement signed by the INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Mr. Sam Olumekun. Now, in a detailed breakdown, INEC reveals that the petitioners failed to gather the requisite number of signatures and thumbprints, which must represent more than 1/2 of the registered voters in the Kogi Central Senatorial District. A Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Mr. Rotimi Oyekomi, was a guest on our political program Politics Today, where he threw more light on the decision.
The first thing we do, according to our regulations, is to ascertain the number of signatures, whether it meets the threshold of 50% plus 1. And that was all that we did. And by the time we physically audited the number of signatures, it did not meet the threshold. Now, concerning the forgeries that people talked about, it is at the verification stage that all that will come out. Because you see, we will do that using the beavers. So you can't have a ghost come out to verify himself or herself. So that's very critical. And if after the verification process, we cannot get the 50% plus 1, the process will stop at that point as well. And our own lesson is that we must be prepared for any eventuality like this. And of course, we are prepared because we have our regulations and guidelines. We have the asset, we have the resources. If it comes to going to do verification, if it comes to going for a referendum, we will have been able to do that as well.
Meanwhile, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has applauded the decision of INEC to reject the petition for her recall, although she believes the electoral umpire should have rejected the petition a long time ago. She was speaking on our political program, Politics Today.
The most important thing is this recall process has been stalled, and I give kudos and credit to INEC, even though I believe they should have thrown it away from the first on the first go. I think it was void ab initio. But again, what if the address is false? Because the address provided there is number 4, Oboroikeba, Oboroike, Kogi State. I bet you there's no address like that. Oboroike is just 5 minutes away from me, and I did send people there. There is no address. Most of the streets in my hometown there are not labeled. So the question to INEC is, what if the address is fake? And again, the cover letter of the petition was Kogi Central Political Frontier. And we ran a check with CAC, and that does not exist again. So the question to INEC is, can a non-registered body sponsor a petition against a senator? I think these are loopholes that INEC needs to look into and probably strengthen the laws in that, because I think it should have been discarded on the first go. But again, what I'm going to say is, even though INEC did count 208 signatures, I bet you if they had gone into the second stage, or is it the third stage?
The verification stage.
The verification stage, they would have struggled to even have 500 people come out to attest to signing that.
Senator Akpotiuduaghan also says she will soon present evidence of sexual harassment against the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio.
Anyone can make an allegation, but the issue is, are you able to prove it when it comes to it?
Let us get to that bridge. I'm hearing that the Senate President wants to sue me for that. I will tell him to go ahead. We'll meet and we'll cross that bridge. At the right time and in the right space, I will present the evidence that I have. But let me say this. While I was illegally suspended, I was not given a chance for the matter to be investigated.
In Edo State, the Benin monarch, Omonoba Nedu Ukuakpolokpolo Iware II, the Oba of Benin, has encouraged Governor Monday Okpewolo to continue to work hard for the state's development, assuring him that he has accepted him as a traditional son and will continue to pray for his good health and success. His Royal Majesty Oba Iware II gave the advice when the governor, in company of his deputy Dennis Dahosa and APC leaders, visited the palace straight from the Benin airport to share the news of his victory at the Edo Governorship Election Petition Tribunal with the monarch. Governor Okpewolo assured the Oba of his determination to give his best in service to the Edo people. Our correspondent, Jessica Olugbose, reports.
Euphoria fills the air at the Benin airport, where supporters of Edo State Governor Monday Okpewolo, members of the All Progressives Congress and well-wishers have gathered ahead of his arrival to celebrate his tribunal victory against the PDP and two other parties. The jubilation heightens upon the governor's arrival, showcasing the enthusiasm of his supporters. A victory procession right from the Benin airport moves all the way along Airport Road in Benin City, the Edo State capital. From the victory parade, Governor Okpewolo and his entourage make their first stop at the palace of the Oba of Benin to personally take the news of the victory at the tribunal to the Benin monarch. His Royal Majesty Omonoba Nedu Ukuakpolokpolo NY II, Oba of Benin, thereafter rises to personally pray for the governor. The Benin monarch then admonishes the governor to continue working for the progress of the state.
Work harder the way you have been doing already. You work, you play, you work, you play. But I know you are working so hard. Sometimes you don't even have time to play. So keep it up. Keep it up. We'll be praying for you. Pray for your good health. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for coming here first.
With royal blessings and encouragement received, is returned to work for the governor and his team. And the governor is assuring the residents of his determination to put in his best for the development of Edo State. Jessica Luguse, Channels Television News.
The Forum of State Chairmen of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, has reiterated its commitment to welcoming new members, including prominent politicians from across the country, while maintaining the party's democratic structure and core principles. Chairman of the Forum, Mr. Femi Ferrari, stated this at its inaugural meeting held in Abuja, where he underscored that while the SDP remains open to new members, their registration and admission must strictly follow the party's internal structures as outlined in its constitution.
We warmly welcome the influx of new members to our party, including prominent politicians from across the country, and we are committed to collaborating with them to ensure victory in upcoming 2027 general election. We want to reiterate that new members will be admitted and registered through the party internal structure alone and led by the state chairman. They cannot admit or register themselves as member of the party, SDP. We have to register them. Yes. We acknowledge that some structural adjustments may also be necessary to accommodate new members. However, fundamental issues such as change of the party name, logo, insignia, slogan, or any drastic alteration to the party constitution or manifesto must not be undertaken lightly with us. Any such changes should be thoroughly discussed among the NEC member before action is taken.
Ahead of the April 5th governorship primary of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo has held a meeting with local government mayors, councillors and other critical state executive members of the party in order to firm up loose ends before the primary. Governor Soludo, while addressing the media after the event at the International Convention Center, Awka, affirms that the performance of his administration in the last 3 years is another leverage of confidence.
Upon the arrival of Governor Chukwuma Soludo at the International Convention Center, Awka, he moves inside the magnificent hall that is an array of the colors of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, yellow and green. It is a critical stakeholders meeting comprising the local government mayors, councillors and party executive members at the state level, among others. The meeting is about the primary election coming up on April 5th, and the party leadership confirms their support for the governor.
If all the ward officers, 23 times 2, 326, 27 times 21, then that we would have been able to see that Mr. Governor has a standing army of 8,098 people unquestionable.
When you employ somebody and they perform very well, what would you do? Promotion. Are we going to promote the one who is not scared to perform? It is in the best interest of everybody here, from A to Z, for Mr. Governor to return for a second term.
The governor mounts the podium and decides to speak in private to the party. He later addresses the media, disclosing the confidence of the support of his party, as Anambra is one state, one people with one agenda and one political party, adding that the performance of his administration in the past 3 years is a mirror to a seamless election.
They have primaries on Saturday, this coming Saturday, and it is important that we are on the same page going forward. It's one party, one state, one people, one agenda, one political party. Anambra is APGA. APGA is Anambra. There is no other political party here. But we just needed, as a prelude to Saturday, to be sure that everybody is fully aligned as we get on to perform our job. We've got a chance to have done as a political party to the state, for the state over the past 3 years, and prognosis for the future.
Governor Soludo notes that in the history of APGA, the party has never been as united as it is presently in an election year, and it is a clear indication of a consensus for his government and the party to continue to remain in power.
In part two, after the break, normalcy gradually returns to Victoria Island axis of Lagos, which has been on lockdown since Wednesday due to the closure of the Independence Bridge for repair works. And our correspondent, Olu Phillips, is on the ground to give a live update on the situation. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, rejects petition to recall Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, describes exercise as inadequate. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan promises to present evidence to back up her allegations of sexual harassment against President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, at the right time. A day after the tribunal affirmed his election, Edo State Governor Monday Okpewolo returns to a rousing welcome in Benin City, the Edo State capital. And world leaders criticize U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to impose new tariffs on all goods entering the U.S. Residents in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital city, are still reeling from the physical and mental impact of a traffic gridlock on Wednesday that brought the city to a standstill, particularly on the Lagos Island area. Now, the closure of a major bridge called the Independence Bridge has called the attention of the state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the Minister of Works, David Umahi, to visit the area.
Victoria Island is locked down, closing hours on Wednesday as a result of the partial closure of the Independence Bridge. The closure was announced by the federal government of works for urgent repairs. Motorists traveling from Ahmadu Bello and Adeola Odeku inwards Marina, Eko Bridge, Onikon and its environs were on standstill for several hours, affecting economic activities. Some residents who plied the route share their concerns, while others commend the authorities for swinging into action.
I'm just coming from Lekki to 1004 Estate. I take more than 4 hours to reach 1004 Estate yesterday, and now I just want to go to Semes to get some material to do my work, and I have to trek from 1004 to this body camp now. I'm looking to get towards TBS, whether I can get a bus. You can see how I'm sweating.
If they can make this other lane a two-way drive, so everyone don't have to use the access road, I mean, it will solve a lot of problems.
Our maintenance culture is not there. But now this is what we really want. They maintain the road as of when due, so that it will not cause havoc.
The situation has prompted the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to visit the area and apologize to citizens for the ugly situation. But he says the road cannot be reopened until the rehabilitation work is complete.
This apology is important so that we can take full responsibility as a government, both at the national and sub-national level, for just taking our citizens through an unfortunate incident. Given what they've done in the past 2 days, in my view, and from engineering conversation, makes it difficult to reverse it. So one of the things that we're going to see very quickly is that they're going to advance the work very quickly. They'll probably be working into the night, and to see how they can reduce the timeline from the 6-7 weeks that are planned to about 4 to 5 weeks.
He's appealing to the people to plan their movement to reduce gridlock.
Over the years, erosion has gone underneath and it's sitting on nothing. So that is in indeed an engineering disaster that is just waiting to happen. If you don't have a business to do in Victoria Island in the next 2 to 3 weeks, conduct your business via social media, via telephone, via meetings, Zoom meetings and online meetings, and plan ahead.
The state has also made arrangements for security operatives to be on ground to ensure safety of commuters.
He needs us to deploy more men than we deployed yesterday, and that is actually what they have done today. I want to assure you that I don't think it will never happen like that again, because we have enough men around the site and all across the state controlling the traffic so that there will be no gridlock again.
The Minister of Works, David Umahi, who had earlier ordered the reopening of the bridge following widespread complaints about traffic congestion, also visits Lagos to see the situation of things at the Independence Bridge.
So what we are doing now is to restore the bridge temporarily within the next 3 days. By Sunday, this place will be totally open. And then after 2 weeks, we will look at the settlement. And then we will take out 3 days to put the permanent structure. We are going to vary the design. The design will be varied according to the emergency situation we found on ground, and the contractor is going to cooperate with us. I'm not going until the bridge is fully restored by Monday.
Motorists have been advised to use alternative routes provided by the state government and also cooperate with traffic management personnel on ground to ease movements.
All that was earlier in the day, and right about now we can report to you that the traffic gridlock due to the Independence Bridge closure has been cleared. Our correspondent Olu Phillips is now standing by to give us a situation update from the Lagos Island area. Olu, so tell us, what was the magic behind the clearing of that massive gridlock that commuters witnessed before now?
We didn't have magicians on the road, on the streets, or wherever. Clearly what has happened is either people have hearkened to what the governor had to say and stayed away, or two, those who went through this gridlock didn't have to want to go through it the second time. So clearly people have stayed off the road. We've crisscrossed some parts of the roads today. We are currently standing at the Zumbambadiwa access of the Victoria Island, and we've gone through Alfred Ruwani, it's clear. We've gone through Makwangwa area, it's clear. Clearly, we don't have vehicles on the road, and in the last 2 hours we've been here, not necessarily attributed to anything that has been done specially, but the level of or the amount of vehicles that are plying the road have simply stayed off. For instance, we have senior management team members who have not showed up at work today because from yesterday when they left the office, they couldn't get back to their homes up till this morning. I want to believe that's also the situation with all people who went through that harrowing experience throughout yesterday up to this morning. And so clearly, from what we've seen, there was no magic wand. Ayo.
So tell us, is the repair work still ongoing, even as we speak, judging from where you are at this point in time?
Yeah, repair work is still ongoing, and this is clearly a confusion. There's clearly a confusion around what has happened or what's happening. Here at Channels Television, especially myself, I've covered several bridge closure, repair work on Lagos, and Akpabwa Bridge, Third Mainland Bridge, from the days of the Onono members. This is the poorest we've seen in terms of handling. Because the first question I ask myself is, why do we have the confusion between two officials, senior officials, the state government, the governor, and the Minister for Works, all singing from different song sheets? Clearly, you'll be asking yourself, where's the project board for this project? For people to understand what the project timeline is, what is about to be done, when it will start, when it will end. Clearly, I looked out for that project board, I didn't find. Secondly, is to ask yourself, where is the environmental impact assessment report that was prepared supposedly before this project started? We didn't see any of that. Otherwise, people would have taken precaution, and a lot of motorists would endanger their lives yesterday throughout the midnight up till this morning in a traffic they didn't even know where the problem is coming from. And clearly, a lot of people who apply these routes don't even know where the Independence Independence Bridge is. The Independence Bridge is so critical because if you're coming from Ahmadu Bello Way, if you're coming from Ozumbambadi Way, if you're coming from Victoria Island, this is the only one of the major arteries that takes you out from the mainland, and you already would have gotten there before you realize that the bridge has been closed. For how long, we don't know, but now we know it's going to last for the rest of May, as it were. So clearly, there's a confusion which has been admitted to by the two officials, the state governor apologizing for work not properly done, the Minister for Works apologizing and taking responsibility for work poorly done, and that's the situation we have here, Ayo.
All right, definitely we'll be keeping tabs as the days go by. Thank you so much, our correspondent, Olu Phillips, there, giving us a situation report on the Independence Bridge closure. We now head to the nation's capital for Victoria Long John, who will be giving us the latest from our Abuja studios.
Thank you, Ayo. No fewer than 10 persons were killed on Wednesday in different attacks on 5 communities in Boko's local government area of Plateau State. Now, these attacks occurred just 6 days after a similar attack in Ruby community where 10 persons were shot dead and 3 others injured while observing a wake-keep ceremony in honor of an elderly woman. A statement from Boko's Cultural Development Council, Vanguard, and signed by the chairman, Famasum Fudang, says the peaceful and hospitable people of the local government are under threat from terrorists who seek to seize their land and impose a caliphate which must be resisted. The group commended efforts of the security agencies for their swift response to distress calls, which helped minimize casualties recorded in the attacks. Members of the communities have been encouraged to be vigilant and assist security agencies in warding off threats from attackers. It remains a major talking point for the government to resolve. Yet, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, is again assuring Nigerians and President Bola Tinubu that all security threats ravaging the country will be subdued this year. General Musa said this shortly after the unveiling of attack drones and the testing of locally manufactured bombs produced by an indigenous technology company. It's a gathering of security experts as the Chief of Defense Staff leads heads of other security agencies to witness the unveiling of locally manufactured unmanned aerial vehicles. Flanked by the Commissioner of Police in the Federal Capital Territory, Ajao Adewale, the Governor of Plateau State, Caleb Muftuang, and other top military officers, the Chief of Defense Staff laments challenges faced when requesting military hardware from foreign countries.
In a world where the global politics surrounding the procurement of advanced military hardware, particularly combat drones, have become more intricate, countries that do not produce such solutions are made to face bureaucratic bottlenecks and diplomatic hurdles in acquiring these critical platforms. We are facing such challenges directly, so we know what it means. If you don't produce what you need, you'll be held whenever you need them, even with your money at hand.
The cumbersome bureaucracy that has characterized the procurement of defense equipment, even when urgent needs arise, has been a source of concern.
The Armed Forces of Nigeria welcomes this development as it enhances our ability to acquire the much-needed assets without delays associated with international procurement system. For us, we're going to key into this fully to ensure that all our theater of operations have adequate number of drones that will enable us to dominate the entire airspace.
On his part, the Governor of Plateau State believes it's time for all leaders and critical stakeholders to ensure that no one operates within Nigeria's borders with capabilities that compete with that of state actors.
Indeed, we have made a mistake as a nation when we allowed non-state actors to acquire capabilities that are almost overwhelming state actors. And it is time to address that disadvantage. We are entering into strategic and what I want to call sensible acquisition of technology without strings attached.
The Chief of Defense Staff then leads other heads of security agencies to inspect the drones. As the event climaxes with the testing of bombs, the defense chief describes the local production of unmanned aerial vehicles as a timely intervention, adding that precision and efficiency of drones are critical in gathering intelligence and executing decisive actions against threats.
Now, still ahead on the news at 10, economic experts in Nigeria warn U.S. tariffs on imported goods could backfire, harming U.S. economy more as President Donald Trump imposes 14% tariff on Nigeria. That's some business news to join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, is again reiterating the federal government's commitment to enhancing national security and ensuring the safety of all citizens and residents. Now, speaking in Abuja shortly before handing over 19 rescued kidnapped victims to the Chief of Defense Staff, Malam Ribadu commended the efforts of security forces and intelligence agencies involved in the rescue operation. He adds that the federal government is on course to crush kidnappers, bandits, and insurgents.
It is a happy moment as 19 rescued kidnapped victims converge on the conference hall of the National Counterterrorism Center for this handing over ceremony. Among them is the former Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Maharazu Tsiga, retired. Before the handing over of the rescued kidnapped victims to the National Security Advisor, the National Coordinator of the National Counterterrorism Center explains how they were rescued from different locations.
Amongst those here present today is one of our own, General Tsiga, who was the DG NYC. After receiving medical attention from our clinics, they are ready to be reunited with their families and communities, sir.
Without mincing words, the National Security Advisor vows to exterminate criminal elements threatening the peace and security of Nigeria.
Bad things happen to good people. That's how life is all about. But evil will not prevail. It's a matter of time. We thank God for their lives. We are grateful to those who made it possible. And this is an ongoing, continuous. We are doing it quite silently. We'll go after the bad ones. This is not the end of the story. These people are rescued, but those perpetrators will pay for it dearly.
For the Chief of Defense Staff, the rescue operation marks a significant milestone in the ongoing efforts to combat kidnapping and insecurity in the country, as he vows to sustain the fight against insurgents.
I want to assure Nigerians that we will not sleep until every Nigerian is free in this country. And as a warning to all those who don't mean us well, that will not allow them to sleep well. Yes. We'll go after them wherever they are, and we can see that we're getting results. 1 year, 10 months, Nigeria is getting better.
A visibly elated General Tsiga and a former deputy head of mission to Pretoria, South Africa, applauds the efforts of the security agencies in the rescue.
If there is anything to be celebrated, it is this kind of situation that is most important to be celebrated.
I want to use this opportunity to thank the Office of NSA, the CDS, and all security agencies who have worked assiduously to bring us to what we are witnessing today.
The former Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, who regained freedom on Wednesday, the 2nd of March 2025, after spending 56 days in captivity, was abducted alongside other persons on the 5th of February from his hometown of Tsiga in Bakori local government area of Katsina State.
FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has reacted to rumors making the rounds about his health, saying there was never a time he collapsed or was flown overseas for treatment. Mr. Wike made the revelation while speaking during an inspection tour of some ongoing projects in the nation's capital. He claims that the rumors emanated from mischief makers whose sole purpose was to divert the attention of the public from the allegation made by the former head of service of Rivers State, Mr. John Wike, against suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his Chief of Staff, Edison Ehie.
I don't want to give credence to people who are only interested in carrying rumors. First of all, the human being, it is not a ghost that will collapse. It's human beings that will collapse if there's any problem in their health. Unfortunately, I did not collapse. I didn't show you sign that I have any health problems. Let me tell you what happened. What happened was that you see that the former head of service of Senegal came out to let the public know what was going on. We had a plan to bomb the House of Assembly complex, and had a plan to attack national assets. In order to divert attention from people not focusing on that, they have to bring one rumor that they have been flown overseas. There was never a time I collapsed, there was never a time anybody took me to that. But you see me every day. The day Mr. President broke Iftar, during his birthday, I was there. The next day, I led Abuja residents to pay Salah Beach. I see all those stories just die down. This is politics. We have thick skin. Those who don't bother us. We are not distracted. We are focused on our job. So I thank Nigerians for being, for really worried that this should be. But people should not wish their fellow human beings such a thing to happen. We know that we will die one day.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's now back to Ayo for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived Dakar in Senegal to represent President Bola Tinubu at the celebration of the 65th Independence Day anniversary of that country, scheduled to hold on April the 4th. The Vice President arrived at Leopold Senghor International Airport accompanied by the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegwu-Ojukwu, and the Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Foreign Affairs, Oluwole Oke. Upon arrival, he inspected a guard of honor. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nkwacha, says Vice President Shettima is in Senegal following an invitation to President Bola Tinubu by President Bashiru Diomaye Faye. Vice President Shettima is expected back in Nigeria on Friday, immediately after the event in Dakar. Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has assured that the state's revenue will significantly increase following improvements in security, which have paved the way for enhanced mining activities. The governor recently embarked on an extensive tour of mining sites and factories in Anka and Maru local government areas to assess the state's vast mineral resources and explore revenue-generating opportunities.
Zamfara State is rich in gold deposits, making it one of Nigeria's most resource-endowed states. However, illegal mining and the activities of unregulated artisanal miners have historically contributed to insecurity, including banditry and gold for arms exchange. In April 2019, the federal government announced a total ban on mining activities in Zamfara State due to persistent bandit attacks linked to disputes over gold mining operations. The ban was aimed at curbing insecurity and illicit activities associated with mining, which have also led to economic setbacks, as mining is a major contributor to the state's economy. The state governor, Dauda Lawal, was in Anka local government area to inspect a private-owned mining factory. Expressing satisfaction with the factory's operational standards, the governor commended security agencies and stakeholders for their efforts in restoring peace, which is key to unlocking the state's economic potential.
The most important thing is to show to the world that security is coming back to Zamfara State. And I want to commend all the security personnel for their effort. This is exactly what we're looking for, because it will pave way for a very, very significant development for the state.
From 2015 till now, the patience we have, it's not easy. And we have passed so many things that I thank God today that it's coming to reality.
Governor Lawal's next stop was Maru local government area, where he met with artisanal miners and promised to provide essential tools to curb environmental degradation and ensure sustainable mining practices.
We are putting certain things in place, and I'm going to send the Honorable Commissioner Environment to come and sit down with you so that you all register. When you register, we know where you belong to so that we can provide the right tools for you.
The recent lifting of the mining ban by the federal government presents significant economic opportunities for Zamfara State. With improved security, regulated mining operations and increased private sector involvement, the state believes it stands to benefit in the areas of enhanced job creation, infrastructural development, and increased internal generated revenue.
In Kebbi, Governor Nasir Idris has announced promising prospects for oil exploration and exploitation in the state following the certification of its commercial viability. The governor made this known in Birnin Kebbi during the reception held in honor of Alhaji Abubakar Malam Shatima, a retired Deputy Controller General of Customs, who was recently appointed as the Managing Director of the Rema River Basin Development Authority. Governor Idris emphasized that Kebbi State is rich in mineral resources, including petroleum, and assured Nigerians that his administration is committed to harnessing these natural endowments for economic growth. Business News is up next with Will Ebong.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Now, reactions are trailing the official announcement made by U.S. President Donald Trump for the imposition of tariffs on goods exported to the United States from more than 50 countries around the world, including Nigeria. Economic expert and Chief Executive Officer of Cowrie Asset Management Limited, Mr. Johnson Chukwu, who was a guest on our Business Morning program, says the impact is most likely to be counterproductive for the U.S., as the move could lead other countries to retaliate in ways that would be very unfavorable to the world's biggest economy.
U.S. tariff will eventually hurt U.S. and hurt international trade and hurt the friendly countries. Take, for instance, the imposition of tariff, 20% tariff on European Union. European Union is the closest economic ally of the U.S. It also imposed a 24% tariff on South Korea, one of its closest economic allies, and on Japan, and 25% on South Korea. These are countries that the U.S. have had very close formal economic relationship with. In addition to that, of course, China, we can always explain China's case, because China is a trade deficit with the U.S. is humongous. I mean, in favor of China. But the 54% tariff on China, and you can be rest assured that these countries are going to retaliate. Of course, there are already statements by world leaders that they are going to reciprocate the reciprocal tariff, because that's what the U.S. president called it, reciprocal tariff. They are going to reciprocate in kind the reciprocal tariffs. So we're going to see a situation where price levels are going to go up in U.S., inflation is going to go up in U.S., possibly unemployment could actually go up, and the intended purpose of driving back manufacturing into the U.S. as well as generating revenue will be defeated.
Meanwhile, the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPP, says that with just 10% of its trade linked to the U.S., Nigeria remains largely insulated from the ongoing trade war. The CPP notes that in 2024, Nigeria's total merchandise exports stood at $50.4 billion, with $5.7 billion, that's about 11.3%, going to the U.S., primarily crude oil, petroleum gas, and fertilizers. Meanwhile, key exports from the U.S. included vehicles and wheat. However, indirect effects could arise The closure of the AGOA trade window limits market access, while rising U.S. inflation may push up import costs. Global supply chain disruptions could also impact oil prices, affecting Nigeria's revenue and foreign reserves. On the positive side, CPP believes the trade war could create new opportunities for Nigeria to strengthen trade ties with other economies looking for alternative partners. Outside our shores in business, American multinational tech giant Amazon has made a last-minute bid to acquire TikTok, as the U.S. ban on the popular social media platform is set to take effect on Saturday. The move comes after the Biden administration upheld a law requiring TikTok, Chinese-owned parent company ByteDance, to either divest from the app's U.S. operations or face a nationwide ban. The revelation of Amazon's bid coincides with a scheduled meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and senior officials on Wednesday to discuss the looming deadline for TikTok's sale. Apart from Amazon, several potential buyers such as Oracle and Blackstone have emerged in recent months in a bid to acquire the social media firm. Meanwhile, it remains unclear whether ByteDance is willing to sell TikTok. Back home now, the domestic equities market records a slight relief from sell-offs as the all-share index rises today by 0.01%. Senior John Mekwa tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, against global trends today, the day after President Donald Trump announced those stiff reciprocal tariff, Nigeria's stock market closed positive. Very unusual. Looking at what's happening around the world, it might be slight, yeah, 0.01%. The all-share index. We're still on 105,000 level and 66 trillion naira for the market cap. Gainers today, not names you are very familiar with, but, well, they are the gainers. AfriPrudence is an insurance, gain insurance also. So two insurance, and then there's Darcom also leading the gainers. For the losers, livestock seems to be trending back again. We see losers led by livestock and then PZ as well as M-Benefit, another insurance stock. So just a slight gain, but the bull is back.
And that's business news. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Will. European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen says Donald Trump's decision to impose new tariffs on all goods entering the United States is a major blow to world economy. Here's Simon Pierce with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Thanks, Ed. So, if you look at that,
Donald Trump's decision to impose new tariffs on all goods entering the U.S. has been criticized by leaders from around the world. The U.S. president announced a universal 10% tariff on all imports into the U.S. from the 5th of April. Around 60 countries will also be hit with steeper tariffs from the 9th of April. China has expressed its opposition to the move and has warned it will take resolute countermeasures against the U.S., while the EU has also said it will hit back. Mr. Trump said the measures were payback for unfair trade policies and would make America wealthy again, adding that he had been very kind in his decisions.
So 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of the European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half.
Australia's exports to the United States represent about under 5% of our goods exports. Okay, so let's have some perspective here about standing up for Australia's national interest.
On our response, all I can say is that there will be one. it will happen at the appropriate moment after the expected announcement later this evening.
Let me be clear with the House. A trade war is in nobody's interests. And the country deserves, and we will take, a calm, pragmatic approach.
In reality, we're waiting for the American announcement tonight.
Cette nuit, nous savons en revanche qu'il risque d'être assez puissant.
People are speaking of tariffs between 20 and 25%. This will obviously lead to major economic disorder on the affected products, not only in Europe, but also in the United States.
The U.S. is clearly a key market for us. It is clear that the introduction of new tariffs would have heavy repercussions for Italian producers.
Per I produttori italiani. Penso personalmente che sarebbe anche un'ingiustizia per molti americani perché
I personally think it would also be an injustice for many U.S. citizens because it would limit the possibility of buying and consuming our excellence only to those who can afford to spend more.
Hungary's government has announced it is withdrawing from the International Criminal Court. The move was announced by a senior official in Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government hours after Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu, who is sought under an ICC arrest warrant, arrived in Hungary for a state visit. Orban had invited Netanyahu as soon as the warrant was issued last November, saying the ruling would have no effect in his country. Myanmar's junta chief Min Aung Hlaing is in Thailand for a regional summit as his country reels from an earthquake that killed thousands and left cities in ruins. The earthquake in central Myanmar last Friday killed 3,085 people and injured over 4,700. Hundreds more are missing and the toll is expected to rise. Min Aung Hlaing arrived in Bangkok on Thursday on the eve of a summit that will gather leaders of the 7 countries that border the Bay of Bengal. Newly released photographs have shown the moment 2 ships collided during last month's North Sea crash. It comes as preliminary investigations have found that neither ship had a dedicated lookout. Visibility when the Solong container ship struck the Stena Immaculate oil tanker in the North Sea on the 10th of March was patchy. That's according to the Marine Accident Investigation Branch. And dozens of destructive tornadoes have hit as severe weather lashed the Midwest and south of the U.S. on Wednesday evening. More than 13 million Americans were under tornado watch, the National Weather Service said. Intense and even violent tornadoes have destroyed homes and farms in Missouri and Arkansas. Radar data suggests straight-line winds reached 80 miles per hour in Indiana. About 5 million people were under tornado watches in parts of Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama early on Thursday. At least 1 person has been killed in Tennessee. The wide-reaching storm system will trigger multiple days of nearly non-stop rain that could trigger generational flooding in Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Mississippi.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News ahead of the May 16 National Sports Festival in Ogun State. Preparations seem to be on top gears. Facilities at the 4 venues slated for the games have reached 95% completion. Host Governor Dapo Eberedun, inspecting the facilities at the Moshood Abiola Stadium and Alake Sports Center in Abeokuta, revealed that he's impressed with the progress made so far.
I would say that this facility is probably at about maybe 95% completion. I would say that. And I'm confident that we are well prepared to host Nigerian youths. We're adequately positioned to host the best national sports festival in the history of national sports festival in Nigeria, without a doubt.
Well, let's turn our attention to the first FIFA ranking for 2025, where Nigeria Super Eagles moved from 44th to 43rd, but dropped to 6th in Africa in the men's ranking released earlier today. Morocco, Senegal, Egypt, Algeria, and Cote d'Ivoire are the top-ranked teams in the continents. Globally, Argentina extended their lead at the top of the ranking after booking their place at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Spain, France, England, Brazil, the Netherlands, Portugal, Belgium, Italy, and Germany are the top 10 best playing nations. The United States is the sole bidder for the 2031 Women's World Cup, while the United Kingdom is set to play host to the tournament in 2035. FIFA President Gianni Infantino says the World Football Governing Body plans to increase the number of participating teams at the Women's World Cup from 32 teams to 48 in time for the 2031 tournament. With our sports, I'm Kelly. Egiga is back to you today.
And the main news again. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has rejected a petition to recall the senator representing Kogi Central at the Senate, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The commission, in a statement today, described the exercise as inadequate for failing to meet the requirement of Section 69A of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has promised to present evidence to back up her allegations of sexual harassment against the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, at the right time. Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan gave the indication when she appeared on Channels Television's political program, Politics Today. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Olugun. You have a good night.